everyone. Welcome to our review of Alan Wake. I'm Nick.
I'm Andrew.
And, well, let's just dive into this dumpster fire of a game.
Yeah.
So, starting off with the aesthetics and the world design.
Okay.
I've never played a more dark game.
Yes.
I mean, in my entire life. I know I played Resident Evil 3, but even Resident Evil still had some time where I'm like, oh, there's actually light in this game. I can see what I'm doing and where I'm going.
I will say the darkness in Resident Evil, it had enough variance to facilitate oh, we're going into a really dark place and this is supposed to be very spooky and maybe there's a monster in here. Whereas this game's just dark because it's dark.
Yeah, there was a lot of times where we're playing this and I'm just like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I don't know what I can do. It was just one of those things where, as you said, it was just felt like dark because it was dark, and it just didn't add any ambience. Where, again, you play Resident Evil 3 or any Resident Evil game that takes place at night, and there's just something creepy about it. There's something that's like, ooh. I mean, when we played Resident Evil 3, when we reviewed it, there were a lot of times where we were legit screaming.
Yeah,
because it was fucking scary.
We got scared.
Yes.
This is just the only times that we were like, whoa, yeah, because literally, I'm getting hit from a creature, not, oh my god, there's a giant frog monster coming out of a sewer grate gonna try to, I've never seen that shit before. It was more like, oh, there's a guy in front of me that I'm shooting, and wait a minute, why are there 3 now new axe-wielding shadow lumberjacks trying to rip me apart?
Or the scene with the birds, when, it's something we mentioned in episode 8, which is our last playthrough episode, which is hey, an indicator would be fucking nice, guys.
Yeah,
that goes into the aesthetics and the design of the level. It's oh, can I see what's around me? Outside of just looking on the screen, can I get an idea, look at my little legion there and be hey, there's some red dots in this area. Maybe I should either evade that, stay away from there, or hey, at least I know where they're coming from and where they're attacking from. That would have been nice. And there's just a lot of things that just it's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
I will say, as someone from the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, please, yes.
This was a very Twilight-esque depiction of the Pacific Northwest. Which, I will say, Twilight was filmed in Vancouver, BC, which is technically a part of the Pacific Northwest. Yes. But it is not an accurate depiction of what Forks is actually like. This feels like we're going to make a game that takes place in Washington because that's kind of the hot thing right now. This was around the time that major productions were taking place in Vancouver because it's cheap. It's cheap by comparison. And this is around the time that, Twilight was getting all crazy and whatever, and it's just this is very much a not very accurate depiction of this part of the country. I will say, it would be nice to see a game that accurately depicts the part of the country, because I can honestly say there are times when you are up there, it's creepy as fuck to be in those forests, man. It is really haunting. They just didn't capture it well in this game.
And the
for a game that's supposed to be scary.
No, and the problem is, I think that Washington, at least the Pacific Northwest, is just one of those settings where it's we need a game that's set in the woods where we can let's throw in the Pacific Northwest, whatever. The problem is, I know.
Did this game actually go to Washington?
Yes, exactly. It's one of those things where it's I know we don't talk about the story a lot, but again, we're talking about the world itself. It just felt too backwoodsy. It didn't feel like I was alone, because I think that's the gist of what it's supposed to be. Oh, you're alone. It's oh, I'm in this Hope Falls, Washington, or whatever it's called, or Bright Falls, whatever the fuck it is. I don't care. It is
generic attempt to show a spooky forest.
Yes.
And that's literally what it is. You could literally put that in any forest anywhere, and it'd be oh, this takes place in a German forest. Oh, okay, sure. This was not. It was a good attempt, but. Like I said, it's the Twilight depiction of the Pacific Northwest.
Speaking of spooky, let's talk about something that was really scary, though, which was the fucking controls in this game.
God. No accessibility.
No
options.
accessibility whatsoever in this.
Zero. As in zilch, nada, none.
Now, I will say this. When we do play games that are old, I would say, I classify old as in, 5 to plus years ago. The idea and the concept of accessibility honestly probably won't be there, but you can still make a game simple enough.
Still give options.
Yes.
Of a variety.
Yeah, you can still give like colorblind mode. You can still give something. But like again, you can just make it to where the controls are just super simple. Like Mario Odyssey, is it really accessible? Not really, because you can't change.
Not in the sense of options.
Not in the sense of options. But the thing is that I was able to beat that game by just pressing one button, because all you gotta do is jump on shit. Like, yeah, you gotta run around the 3D world and stuff like that, but like it's still beatable because the controls are so simple. You can literally press any button and jump, and you can just make your way through the game. It's that simple. Whereas with this, it's like, I understand there's a gun mechanic and stuff like that.
And flashlight mechanic.
Yeah.
Where the flashlight is your cursor in
and where the flashlight's your cursor, and then there's times you have to like hold the trigger and move the stick, and it's like,
give me a reticle.
Yeah.
No reticle.
Oh my god. Yes.
No. Zero.
Like,
Gears of War had reticles, and that was an Xbox 360. I mean, this was If you're looking for accessibility, this is not your game.
No, it's not your game. And the thing about it is, I look at this game, and again, I'm glad we played this game, because this is the type of games that we need to play, where we're like, hey, this is really unacceptable. Yeah. This is really bad. This is really poor. And in all honesty, it's like games like this. Again, I know
happy about games that have even a
games like this make me appreciate games like Miles Morales and other games we play on the show that are accessible to at least some degree.
Exactly.
You know, it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, you know, in certain games we played, you can change the color of reticles, you can change the color of people in terms of like shaders, and oh, this person's an enemy, so you of course shade them red if you want. This person's an ally, so shade them green or blue or yellow or whatever you want to shade them as. But it's just one of those things where I'm glad we played this, because again, it's just like, this shows the improvements that have been made in accessibility, but B, like, there should never be a game that has no level of accessibility like this ever again. Because there's just no reason for it. And, I mean, it's just, there's nothing about this that was memorable. Nothing about this is a game where I'm
memorably bad.
We're like, we ended episode 8 and we're like, well, thank God that's over.
Yeah, I like, honestly did not have fun playing.
I
got a laugh out of how bad it was to play this game.
That was the first word that came out of our mouths. We're like, thank God that's over. And again, thank you to Alex for recommending this to us, because now we can we put this on YouTube and literally can show people like, hey, if you're making a game, don't make it like this.
Don't for its time. I could understand for its time. It's innovative. They're like, oh, look at these cool mechanics. Oh, shadows and like that kind of stuff. It works in that capacity, I guess, for its time. But please, game developers, if you're going to make a game that's like this, that's narratively focused, please put in accessibility options. And, I mean, we made so many jokes about things like coffee thermoses being everywhere, right? There's just, obviously design choices 11 years ago are very different from the games of today, but it's just too obvious in many cases, and like we'll get to the story stuff here in a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, let's go on that right now. Yeah. Like it's obvious that the person who wrote this really loved Twin Peaks, and was like the scene again, going back to episode 8, the scene where his Alan's agent is like, "This is some really good coffee." Like, what's Twin Peaks known for? That's some damn fine coffee.
Well, Pacific Northwest is known for its coffee too.
Right, but Twin Peaks in general, in terms of just dialogue, that's like the one line that you can literally spit out and be like, "Oh, I know what that's from."
And then that you would finish a story mission.
Yes.
Next time on Alan Wake, it would literally end, and then last time on Alan Wake, I don't need a review of what I just did.
Unless one thing where like they know how unmemorable and how shitty this game is, where they're like, we have to remind them because it's so unmemorable. Oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that's
I forgot that happened.
Forgot all about that.
I don't understand the narrative choice. I can understand a chapter's choice of like end of chapter 2. Because it is about a writer, but you do not
need a
previously on when you just did the thing. And the previously on were literally the last few moments of the last chapter.
Yes.
Like, the conversation with my agent was previously on Alan Wake, and you're like, but I just had this conversation.
I really want to look up if it was ever, like, seriously, I'm not making a joke here, like, I want to look up if it was seriously somebody tried to sell it as like a TV show,
and it just couldn't
get picked up.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. I'll look that up, and I'll put right about now if I found any information, whether it was or not or whatever. But yeah, we're 11 minutes in. Yeah. Let's get to our grades. I mean, we already know this is how it started off. No accessibility, nothing about it was memorable, no reticles. Again, it felt like a game that tried too hard to make it seem like you're playing like either a movie or a TV show, because there was just so many options that were lacking, so many visual things and visual cues that were lacking. Mm-hmm. I know we didn't finish the story. I know we're not known for finishing stories, but
good lord,
this is one story.
I will happily delete this game from my Xbox.
Yes, goddamn. Can I give it a dumpster fire? Yes, but I think I'm gonna give this a bad time only because I can only give it a bad time because of just the amount of jokes and content we can get out of it.
Exactly.
That's the only redeeming quality of this game, is the fact that when you play it, the amount of jokes and the amount of just laughter you can get at its expense is fantastic. So I will give it a bad time just for that.
I will give it a bad time. I agree on the joke front. I give it a bad time just because the time that this game came out, this was probably pretty revolutionary at the time. But just by today's standards, it's just not good. And that's what I could give it like some slight forgiveness for. But this game, I'm so glad we're done playing it. It was a bad time. I will happily give it that rating.
And I will say this too, I don't know about you, but this is again going back into my grading. I didn't hate play this game. I was like, when we had to record and we had to play, I was like, oh boy, it's another day where we gotta record some Alan Wake content. But in my mind, I'm like, please, I hope something fucking just hilarious, it's just ridiculous happens. Yeah. And that's what it was. I was looking forward to doing it only because I'm like, how much more can we ridicule this game? How much more dirt can we throw on the corpse that is this game?
I definitely will say that it has a charm in that aspect, but not from a like, this game really blows me away kind of way. I think when it comes to our grading system, is that a dumpster fire, I'm gonna have to feel like really offended by a game.
Yeah, a dumpster fire.
Where I'm just like, come on, guys, you didn't even try to make a good game. Like I can see the attempt to make a game here, right? I can see the ideas.
Yes.
But the execution of it is what makes me have a bad time with it, right? It just doesn't fulfill any of the, great design or desires that I have from playing a video game, and that's why I have to give it a bad. There's an idea there. It's just not well executed.
It's not fleshed out.
Opinion.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I agree with you with that. But that's going to do it for our review of Alan Wake. As always, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Click the bell icon to receive notifications whenever new videos go up. New videos go up every Sunday and Wednesday. And also, hey, if you have a game that you would like us to play, doesn't matter if it's good or bad, if you have a game you just love us to review, if there's a game that you're thinking about buying, and you're saying, hey, I want you guys to review this first before I buy it, hey, that's what we want to do, that's what we're here for. Send it to us.
Or watch us suffer through another
one. Gmail us, email us, reviewcade@gmail.com, and we will look it up, and we will download it, and we will play it on the show. So that's going to do it. Be sure to hit us up on social media, facebook.com/Reviewcade. We're also on Twitter and on Instagram @Reviewcade as well. And as always, we will see you next time with a brand new game.
Bye! Next time on Reviewcade.
Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo. Third officer reporting. The other members of the crew: Kane, Lambert, Parker, Brett, Ash, and Captain Dallas are dead. Cargo and ship destroyed. I should reach the frontier in about 6 weeks. With a little luck, the network will pick me up. This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off.